At the meeting of 17th June 2025, a day that will live in infamy, SIG made a major political move to seize control of planning, to move it to a committee that they will control, even if a second Labor member replaces Councillor Cox. The key to this is that they control the detail and then bring back washed facts to the whole council, where again they control the numbers. This will allow SIG in the main chamber not to go through detail and look like they have clean hands. This is another disgrace from the anti-democratic and right-leaning SIG group. Who will benefit? Developers. Who will be punished? Those that oppose SIG. I am weary of calling for outrage, but this is just one more disgrace. See my comments as we go through the blatant misrepresentation of the committee.
197, Notice of Motion, Planning and Development Committee, Councillor Kazmiri. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wilkins. So Councillor Kazmiri.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. As I spoke, or as I mentioned only a few minutes ago, during election time, and I apologise if I'm repeating myself again, the 3 points that were made clear to me and to some of us: fix the potholes. That was number one. And in my opinion, when you take into account that we have 1,700 kilometres of roads, 1,700 kilometres. It's like driving to Melbourne and back of roads that we have to maintain. And we only have 55,000 ratepayers. Work it out, how much bit of road each one of us have to pay for. The second point that kept on coming up into my discussions was fix the financial situation. And I must admit and confess that I'm very pleased the way it's progressing. Every report we're getting, it indicates that we're getting better every day, which is good, which is very good. And also believe that the creation of that financial committee working with staff, with input and ideas and views outside the box, I think they contribute, or has contributed, to the better financial position we're today. And that brings me back to the third point, which was fix the DA process, get development moving again. Shoalhaven has been dormant for 8 years. Get it moving. And no, I'm not talking about developing at any cost at any time. I'm talking about people that will sleep in the street. I'm talking about people that cannot rent a house. I can't get staff to come and work for me because they can't rent a house. That is the problem that we have on hand. And we are the last link in the chain, remember? Federal government, state government, everybody's telling us, move it. Progress. Development, it's essential so we become sustainable. Therefore, my recommendation is that the CEO drafts a planning and development committee terms of reference with the aim to explore ways for which we can expand, improve our processes in the development and moving on with construction, please. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Boyd.
I actually strongly object to the formation of this committee. I think it's a very bad idea. The committee takes planning out of the public arena and behind closed doors, where a selected unrepresentative group of councillors will make decisions on the vital issues of planning, effectively excluding the community and councillors who are not considered worthy of inclusion. One of the reasons I nominated for council in the first place was to contribute to planning decisions. I want to see a Shoalhaven grow and develop in a way that enhances lifestyles and livability and supports community wellbeing. I think this committee will mean that I never have an opportunity to share my ideas or my local community's contributions to planning decisions. And this proposal excludes any role for staff as I read it. It's virtually saying that staff are irrelevant, that councillors can do the jobs of highly trained and experienced planning professionals. Or will this committee decide to outsource planning advice and processes to address their own gaps in knowledge and expertise? I think it'd be very effective at reducing council's employee costs, but it would escalate the costs of consultants on consultants. We are required to be inclusive, not exclusive. And what is proposed here is an exclusive group that will be making decisions that impact on the future of the Shoalhaven. And of course, there is the cost of resourcing and staffing yet another committee to undertake the work that staff are already engaged in and much better equipped for the job than a select group of councillors. All councillors have a right and responsibility to contribute to planning matters and to listen and represent the views of the community. Decisions must ultimately come before a council meeting. I don't want to be presented with strategies, plans and policies that are already sanitised and agreed upon by a select group of pro-development councillors. I think it's a really retrograde step, and I think it will have an appalling impact on planning in the Shoalhaven, and it must be rejected.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had a couple of questions, if I may, through you, for staff. Forming a committee like this, what additional workload would it add to staff and what you already do?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So, councillors, we discussed this early on in the council term, specifically around the potential for formation of core committees. So there is a resource implication in terms of management of a committee, much like an ordinary meeting. Council can most certainly divest responsibilities for a number of decisions that are outlined, or rather, as long as they're not explicitly prevented from being divested under the Act, Council can form a committee for decision making. To administer those committees, there are governance requirements, there are other staff resourcing requirements. The parts that are probably unclear at the moment, and this is the components we would need to work through, would be the explicit role of the committee and how that interplay would work. So it's almost impossible for us to look at how that resourcing would come to bear without drafting or at least engaging with council on the drafting of the terms of reference. So look, I mean that's work that we would need to work through to effectively assess what the council's appetite to divest all or a part of decision making to a committee would be, and then also effectively how that would interplay with ordinary meetings or as a standalone decision making body.
Right. So there is potential that because of the resourcing requirements, other things would be shifted, prioritised as required.
Through you, Mayor, councillors, that's always going to be an issue for us with anything that we do around meetings and committee structures, or even just work plans. I think probably the matter for consideration for councillors will be the timing and structure of these in line with ordinary meetings. So the initial debate, if I recall, and I'll have to go back and actually look at the resolutions and the discussions that council had at the time. But the rationale I recall was that the two ordinary meeting structure was put in place in lieu of one ordinary meeting and the two committee structure. So ultimately, this isn't just going to be a resourcing impost or a time impost on staff. It's also going to be an additional set of requirements for the elected body. But they're all things that we'll need to discuss and look at in terms of drafting associated documentation in the terms of reference, etc.
Okay, thank you. I did have a follow-on question from that. Is that obviously the previous meeting, was that only ceased due to the change from the 3 to 1 and going to the 2 meetings per?
Through you, Mayor, I actually, I'd find that difficult to answer because it was prior to my time here with council. I don't think that there's actually anyone in the room that was at the executive table at the time that decision was made. My understanding is, yes, that was part of the rationale. There may be councillors or Mayor, you may recall some of that history better than I will be able to explain it.
Thank you. And the only other one with that, which may end up falling into the same bracket, is I'd like to see before I can kind of effectively vote on this is there records of the positive impact and outcomes of having a committee like this in place has had on development, on the way the council runs?
Yeah, I'm happy for the staff to take that on notice, but I'll give you some feedback on that in a minute. Councillor Tribe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I share some of the concerns around the table, and I had sought legal advice as well, which I don't think I've received as yet about what we were just talking about. Initially, there was talk at the beginning of our term of having a governance structure of the committees, but was told that under the Act that couldn't happen, and so we were doing the 2 ordinary meetings, and I wondered about the implications for this as a result. And I guess I was a young journalist in the table of knowledge days, so I am very acutely aware of the restrictions in this space and our need to be cautious. To that end, I'm wondering if the mover would be open to this being a workshop where we could talk about with staff those terms of reference, and I guess what the intention is behind this, because in the background it talks about housing affordability and developing policy there, so people aren't homeless. But I note that's a big part of the terms of reference for the committee that we're voting on later tonight for the Housing Affordability Task Force, but I have heard other things mentioned. So I guess I would like to be involved in that conversation, and is that something that you're open to? If not, I'll formally move that amendment that we have a workshop to discuss this and make sure that we can, within the confines of the Act, pull together something that is workable.
Councillor Kazmiri, are you happy to accept that?
No, thank you.
No.
Okay, so no workshop. So can I formally move an amendment that we have a workshop with all councillors so that we can all talk about the intention and potential terms of reference that are to be explored?
So do I have a seconder? Councillor Johnson, that's to the amendment. I'll move on to the next speaker. So Councillor Proudfoot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we're debating the amendment now.
Yes.
Madam Chair, when you go back and read the recommendation, it finishes up with and report back to council for consideration. So it has to come back to council for the council laws to cast their critical minds over the information in front of them and to deliberate, debate and form a point of view and resolve to do something. Now, when we go on to page 4, the committee be delegated the following powers. And this is quite tame. It's incredibly tame. The general oversight of the preparation of the following 5 plans, the general oversight of the development process, make recommendations to council and the CEO, make recommendations on development, and to talk to industry professionals. Now, I'm not insulting Councillor Kazmiri. This is quite tame. It's sensible. It's well thought through, and very tame indeed. And when the people who are in favour of this are accused of being pro-development, how terrible that is. Pro-development. It's pro the construction of homes for young families. It's pro the construction of affordable housing. It's pro giving our people somewhere to live. It's pro not holding up the process. It's pro the community. That's what the whole motion is about. It's a motion to signal a change in direction for the council. And that's exactly what it is. Last September, there was a change in direction. And we're endeavouring to make things work and make it work to the best of our ability. And to make sure that our people are housed, to make sure that our people feel well in the Shoalhaven, that our people have a place to live and love residing in the Shoalhaven and don't feel the pressures that so many are under. It's that simple. It's a tame motion, but there's a sting in the tail because this motion will make things happen when we all work together in a cooperative sense to work for the residents of the Shoalhaven, and that's what we intend to do. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mine's, so I don't know where this fits in, so help me out here. Mine was just I'm pro-development, so much so that I would love for Councillor Boyd to take my spot on this committee.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkins.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, yes, I concur with Councillor Proudfoot. I think there's been a little bit of an overreaction to this notice of motion. And in response to a query from Councillor Boyd, other councillors will have the right to attend meetings and speak without voting rights, but you can be heard. Any councillor can be heard, just as they can in the Finance Committee, in any other committee, the Affordable Housing Action Task Force, no doubt. There are many committees. Personally, I'm on the Traffic Committee, the South Coast Arts Board, the Motorsports Working Group and the Joint Regional Planning Panel. Might have left one out. I didn't go on those to make any more money. I did, or to for self-aggrandisement. I went on them to help the cause. Now, I was asked by Councillor Kazmiri if I'd chair this. I'd prefer to be playing golf or going somewhere else, doing something else. But I thought, in the interest of the council, well, what's another voice? What's the harm in another voice? And that's why I put my hand up, and I concur with, as I said, with Councillor Proudfoot, that this is very modest, but it's just another voice assisting the cause to try and help us navigate that path to the correct decisions. So I'll be naturally voting, as I seconded it, for this notice of motion.
Yeah, I'll just remind councillors that we have got the amendment first before we put the recommendation. Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, to defer this and take time again and again, and a workshop and extra costs to get something actually done is becoming tiresome. Look, we need to focus on the potholes, DAs with the money we save. Anything that helps speed up and assist with the developments are positive. I see that councillors can come to the meetings. I don't see why this can't go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you. I just had a question. Would this committee create a conflict of interest with those that do sit on the planning panel?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, councillors, potentially yes, if the committee were delegated or played a role in either reviewing or making recommendation on regionally significant development applications that were to progress to the regional planning panel, then councillors, as they would have a conflict in this setting, would also have a conflict in any role they played on an advisory committee.
So is there any further questions or debate? So what I will add to this, councillors who were on the last term of council and the one before that, so we're looking at the one that went from 16 to 21, 21 to 24, we actually had this working group. At the time, it was called the Strategic Planning Working Group. And I used to chair it, that's how I know we had it. And it was a committee that was set up by the previous CEO, Mr. Dunshea, and we used to meet in this room very regularly. And Mr. Clark, we used to be part of it and help us with how we put things together. And we used to discuss all of those items. And then, where it was necessary, a report came up to council. And I can tell you from out of that work that we did at that working group, we got all of the work done for the new settlement strategy down in Milton Ulladulla. All that work has been done for the LEP. So we did a huge amount of work, very similar. So I'm not going to support the amendment, but I'm going to support that we come back with a terms of reference. A lot of the work has already been done. So we'll have a report back. So I find it difficult to understand why councillors on the previous terms didn't know that's what we were doing. Thank you. So right of reply goes to Mr Kazmiri for the amendment. So, and the amendment is that we hold a councillor workshop.
Thank you. I don't believe we need to do a workshop because the aim of the exercise is to, as written in the recommendation, the council directs the acting CEO to draft a planning and development committee terms of reference. So until we have that, we really don't have much to talk about because that is the beginning of the establishment of the committee. And as I keep on saying right through, we'll come back to council. We'll come back to council. None of the statements that I'm making in my recommendation implies that we'll be approving DAs or we'll be doing nothing but coming back to council with recommendations. That's why I don't think there is a need to have a workshop as such. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Boyd. So it's 7-5, so the amendment has been lost. So those who voted against, Councillor Clancy, Councillor Kemp, Councillor Kazmiri, Councillor Cox, Councillor Wilkins, Councillor Proudfoot and Mayor White, the rest voted in favour, so the amendment has been lost. Now we go back to the substantive notice of motion. Councillor Boyd, you have a question.
Yes, I do. My question is, the strategic planning group that met in the previous term of council, and I think we might have met this term, I'm not sure, was for the whole of council. The whole of council was invited to that meeting. It wasn't a select group of councillors, it was the whole of council.
Yeah, that's correct.
And there wasn't any such thing as voting rights, as far as I recall.
No, but this, but as has been pointed out, if this committee gets the terms of reference up, then all councillors can attend. All councillors can attend any meeting they to do with council. So you are able to come. But let's wait till we see the terms of reference come back.
I just wanted to point.
Yep, that's fine.
I just wanted to point out that the financial review panel, we're all invited to that, but we can't ask questions and we can't contribute at all to the discussion.
No, that's not correct.
Oh, that's the impression I have.
No, so I've had numerous councillors there at the Finance Committee who have asked questions. Councillor Proudfoot asks questions quite often, and so does Councillor Clancy. There's no restriction on asking questions in that committee.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so do you want right of reply, Councillor Kazmiri?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think we talked about enough. Thank you.
You wanted to speak, Councillor Cox, before?
Sorry, only making my offer to Councillor Boyd to take my spot.
All right, thank
she
you.
obviously wants a vote, so crack on.
We can work that out. So I'll put the recommendation. Is there anybody wishing to vote against? So we'll use the devices. So it is 9 for, 3 against. The 3 against are Councillor Tribe, Councillor Boyd and Councillor Johnson. The balance vote in favour. I declare that carried. We'll now go to the call over of the business paper.
On the council,